Alrighty. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Baudelaire Book Club, Math Girl Book Club, Slippery. Yeah, you go. You do.
Our summer reading program that is bled all the way into October.
Summer doesn't end until the end. And
Summer doesn't end until we say so.
Phineas and Ferb had it right, and that's really all I could say. So thank you guys for. It's been a hot minute. The slope was a lot slipperier.
The slope was bad.
Slipperier than we thought. Like that word was.
This is our third time trying to film this fucking book club.
Oh.
Or
yeah.
So
it really is. The first time I had hurt myself, got a black eye, and then the second time the audio was great, and luckily though I have not washed the shirt since then, so it's still just as dirty and just as gross and dusty, quite frankly.
Yep.
As it would. It's actually better.
A lot.
Thank you. It's the crust. It's the crust. So
I'm wearing clean clothes, for the record. Not that it matters. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool, I guess. You're just gonna...
Yeah. Just gonna flex on you a little bit. Well, it's different. You're doing a bit.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit.
That's why it's dirty. I'm choosing to live in a world where
I have clean
it's a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit.
When's the last time you did laundry?
Yesterday.
Is that part of the bit?
Oh,
okay.
I do laundry frequently. I specifically have moved this shirt from laundry chair to laundry chair so that I don't move, so I don't remember to wash it.
Then it's intentional. It's fine.
Oh yeah. I choose the dirt,
right.
and that's what separates.
I was born in the dirt.
Molded.
You merely adopted it.
I've been wriggling since I was a kid.
Right.
A little worm.
By the time I met the light, by the time I met the cleanliness, I was already a man.
That is. Yeah, that's good.
Bane Batman. I love Batman. Fun Kale lore.
Really? Big Batman person?
Big Batman person. Absolutely.
Who's the best?
What?
Who's the best Batmans?
I much prefer the cartoon Batmans to any of the live action ones. But I do think the Robert Pattinson Batman is very interesting just because it takes such a wildly different approach to the Batman Bruce Wayne canon. Very interesting. I like it. It's something new. And I think it's good.
Cool. I personally, as not as well versed in all of the Batman lore, I did personally find Robert Pattinson to be the most interesting Batman portrayal so far. Shit, that whole movie had a third act that felt like a fourth act, and I'm like,
yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
I watched it twice in theaters.
Ooh. Did you even get the Little Caesars Batman pizza?
Yes. I was hanging out with the boys and we got the Batman calzone and it was great. We ate it on the floor of my friend's dorm room.
Work. So real for that.
Yeah.
That's such a move.
Yeah. Which, where else am I going to eat it? It's not meant to be eaten, on a table with forks and knives. This is not a classy pizza. It's a Batman calzone.
I don't like when people eat pizza with forks and knives.
Really?
Yeah, but I also understand you don't want to get grease on your hands.
Also, it's hot.
Well, I don't eat it when it's that hot.
You don't want to touch it when it's hot.
That's fair. You know what? That's fair. I understand. I understand the people's reasoning for it. I just am personally you could just wait for it to cool down, and then the cheese has congealed a bit. Yeah, it's not for me, and thus I want to take it from everyone else because it's taking away from me by having to see all that, So
yeah.
Anywho, Baudelaire Book Club. So Slippery Slope is wow.
What a book. What a series of pages glued and sewn together into a spine to be read, to be purchased.
The life that is...
What a series of words.
It's how unfortunate these events that occur in this book, if you will, because the life that breeds from it is one that's not worth saving. but is what we have to do regardless.
Right.
But
If we could have just skipped a book in our book club review.
it would just be to move past this one so that we can move on and just like read the next one. Give me something to do.
Live our lives.
You jest.
Has this been interrupting your life? Has the slippery slope prevented you from living your life? Does it haunt you like the Hat Man in the corner of your vision at all times?
Do you want a real answer to that, or do you want a funny answer to that? Because kinda, like, I'm like, I know we gotta do this. I wanna, like, we gotta fix it. We gotta, like, re-record it so that we can keep, like, the project has been halted. And I have not forgotten, ever.
Not a single day.
Never.
Have you known peace?
No peace in this home.
That's a long time. It's been, like, months.
I think it's been, like, a full month to maybe 5-6 weeks, something like that.
I have no perception of time.
Same.
It could have been yesterday. It could have been.
I don't think it was yesterday, but it was probably sooner than a few years ago.
Probably September. I don't know.
So for Slippery Slope, like we're gonna kind of go through like a brief overviews of the chapters, but just like as a whole, after the events of the Carnivorous Carnival, the kids end up out in the Mortmain Mountains, and
Yes.
are looking for the Valley of the Four Drafts, which they found out at the end of the last book, which should be the VFD hideout. So this is a book where we get a lot of VFD information. Like we finally get some answers and some looks into VFD. Everything is left wanting. You will not be satisfied, and it is perfect in that way.
Unlike with the Batman Calzone, which left me deliciously satisfied.
Oh, every time. I don't
Couldn't ask for more.
Et tu, Brute?
Except for more Batman Calzone.
I wish they'd bring it back because it was.
They need to make another Batman movie.
Yeah, it was good and greasy, and
Yeah.
they should make another Batman movie. They could do that faster than making the pizza again. I think.
If they just scrapped the Flash, which was apparently hot garbage,
That's what I
could
heard.
have put more.
Yeah.
Could put money in towards Batman.
They should, but instead, let's just keep making DC Universe movies that are gray. And I'm like, let's
Fucking
go.
promoting Ezra Miller. Yeesh.
Ooh.
Yeesh is what I have to say about that.
Ooh. You know what? I'd rather hire Count Olaf. In a way. I mean, I don't think there's any assault claims necessarily. So like, I'm saying Count Olaf's a villain, but like, he is nice to women.
Well, I don't know if he's nice to women. He's in that gray area between
He's an asshole.
abusive to women and nice.
Okay, I just want to be clear that I do not condone Count Olaf or his actions, and that the two of us are not qualified to speak on him at this time in that regard.
You're a Count Olaf simp, aren't you? You've got a tattoo of his. A Count Olaf tattoo. You son of a bitch. You're gonna say you don't like him?
No, it's a Jacques Snicket tattoo. He had the same one.
No.
Villains take everything from me. How dare you? How dare Yonsei? So, the kids end up going and checking out VFD. They meet up with somebody who will be a fun ally, and ultimately end the book. Just kind of coasting.
Worse than they started, which seems to be the trend.
Well, actually, in a way, they kind of. And it ends where it starts.
I'd argue worse.
They're just following the stream. The airstream, the water stream. Is there really a difference? They have no control over the vehicle they're on.
I guess, but I feel like being on like land is so much better than being in the water.
Adrift at sea on a toboggan.
If like worst comes to worst, they could have jumped out of the caravan and that would have hurt. But they would have landed like on like the side of the road and been fine. Relatively.
I mean, they did, yeah.
If you jump off, right. If you jump off the side of like a little ship or boat into the water, that is so much worse.
Oh, you get wet.
Got nowhere to go. You are in that boat.
Yeah.
'Cause they're not meant to be in the water.
It's that out of the fire, like out of the fire. Or was it out of the frying pan into
Out
the
of the
fire?
frying pan into the fire. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like
the one.
you're not as trapped, but like it still isn't good. So there is a lot of fun stuff. I'm excited about this book. There's some absolutely ridiculous shit that we'll get into, including a plan involving eagles and cigars, a delicious dish, a pot, like a pot is also it's a pot and a cot in a way. And I'm trying to think of anything in particular.
Human.
There's a hole.
There is a hole.
So okay, well, how should we get into?
Yeah. So we're doing the summary a little bit differently this time. As I think you mentioned, we're not gonna read chapter by chapter, but we're just gonna give a very brief overview of what happens in each chapter to hopefully go more in depth into book. So chapter 1, it ends where Carnivorous Carnival left off. The Violet and Klaus are in the caravan careening down the mountain. But Violet is able to devise a makeshift brake and a drag chute to slow down the caravan. The brake is just a pitcher full of very sticky substances, the whole list of which we get repeated multiple times. And I think you said that drove you insane, having to read the whole list over and over again.
Yeah, I don't like having to do it, but then there's that part of me that's like, but just like, what if he throws something in there? Like,
But what if it's funny? What if there's a secret?
which I wonder if the all in all of those ingredients there is like the stuff to make that whatever thing that he talks about with the messages later in the fridge.
Who's to say?
Not me. I'm not
But
gonna look it up.
They slow down the caravan until it like basically stops, and they get out and they're able to salvage a couple of things. They get like a bread knife, a pitcher, some like clothes, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They have some loose stuff, but it's just random shit from the other people that live there.
Right. But then the caravan it like breaks free from its whatever was keeping it on the mountain. I think they like stuff like a block under the wheel so it doesn't move. But it goes careening down the mountain. So what they have on them is all that they have.
Yeah, it looked like they used the drag chute and stuff, and then they it like stopped right at the edge of one of the peaks of the mountains.
Yeah.
But they it looks like they
after they're out, it tips over and goes down the mountain.
Oh wait, does it actually fall off the? Oh, why isn't there a crash? There it is. I see.
Yeah.
So they got out of it just in time.
Right. So what they have is all they have. They can't make a vehicle of sorts to go up the mountain. They have to walk. And that's chapter 1, baby.
That's chapter 1, which leads us right into chapter 2, which is
tell us all about it.
I'm gonna tell you all about it. Let me just make sure I get this right. It's got a cool little bee, or they're snow gnats, I believe. I think is the word, snow gnats. So a big thing that they now have to deal with is the temperature and figuring out a place for warmth and trying to find Sunny, because Sunny was taken by Count Olaf and Esme and the other freaks from the carnival, using the words from the book. I would say the fellow carnival workers, ex-carnival employees.
Olaf's troop of henchmen, which now includes people from the carnival.
Yes, there we go. That just meant like the Kevin, that fucking Kevin.
Fucking Kevin.
Oh, man.
When we say freak, we mean Kevin specifically, nobody else.
Kevin specifically. So they end up kind of trying to like think about how to see what they can do since the caravan's been destroyed. They do take a look at the items, and just to make sure we do it, there was a pitcher still sticky from the substance, Colette's hand mirror, a wool poncho, and a sweatshirt that read Caligari Carnival, which, as a side note, I would love to have a sweatshirt that said Caligari Carnival. That'd be really fun. We should make those. there's like a bread knife, ukulele, and an extra coat. So they end up kind of trying to like think about it. They just talk about like the kids at this point are also like emotionally they're kind of like numb and just kind of like talking and going like because I think since Vile Village it's been one thing after another.
Right. Since Vile Village, it's been like maybe a couple of days, weeks,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 2 weeks in total. That's like a stretch.
Yeah, it's maybe. And so they end up following the stricken stream into the Mortmain Mountains because like from what they can remember from like what Klaus can remember from the maps, and they do a very there's this like whole section where they do a lot of thinking. It's really more so used to kind of make sure you're aware of everything that needs to come up, but you know the two siblings just take a lot of time to just kind of walk in silence, which I think is um a really like mature moment for both of them. If like I know we're kind of getting into it a little bit, but like they talk about all the things that have happened where you know Jock Snicket was murdered. They had to like save their friends multiple times, like trying to figure out what's going on with anything. Like how can they like right now their only goal is to just find Sunny. Like there's so many things they want to do, but they do not have the means. They have nothing. Um, there's a really in particular part because like pretty much they're walking up until they find a cave. I believe is where this chapter kind of heads to.
Yeah, and they get attacked by snow gnats.
That's right. They get attacked by the snow gnats. So they have some close moments with them discussing the VFD stuff. It's a lot of exposition with stuff that we've kind of like already mentioned. But the snow gnats live in the cold mountain areas, have been known to group themselves into well-defined shapes, and they sting the living crap out of the kids over and over and over until they use the coat to try to protect them. And they're, you know, if you've ever been attacked by gnats or by bees, it's a lot like that. And they mosquitoes. There it is. That was a good one. They end up going finding like a cave nearby where it looks like I think like there's some like a small orange flames they realize, and they end up hearing a voice they never thought they'd hear again as someone goes, "Hey, you cake sniffers!" And Hale will tell us who that voice belongs to.
Well, I won't get to because I'm covering chapter 3.
Oh fuck, I will.
So chapter 3 cuts hard over to Sunny Baudelaire, who is in the clutches of Count Olaf as they drive up the mountain.
I feel like such an ass now. That's all right. Keep going.
It's okay. You didn't remember. It's fine. So they drive up the mountain and they stop in the Valley of Four Drafts and they set up camp. And by they, I mean solely Sunny Baudelaire, who, if we recall, baby.
Mm-hmm. Very small.
Little girl. Very small. So she sets up the tents, and I think... What else does she do for the villains? I don't think she cooks for them yet, but...
They talk about money... Sorry.
She listens to Count Olaf kind of explain stuff to the new group of henchmen from the carnival. And she realizes that, like, they can't understand a word I'm saying. They just think I'm babbling, so I can kind of talk shit and not get hit.
I think she can listen.
Right.
I believe, like.
And that's about it. She's with Olaf, she's setting up the tents and like a fire, I think. I don't think she lights the fire. But she's being a domestic servant for the villains while they scheme and plot.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
That's it.
I sometimes I forget that like, oh yeah, when you think about it chapter by chapter, like they really do like one or two things, and then they just talk a lot about it.
And they just talk a lot.
And I'm like, eh. So moving into chapter 4, we're into the into the tunnel with the snow scouts where we get to meet them. One fun little thing that you may be able to see is that the top of their hats have burr stitched on them, which I think is cute.
Oh, that is cute. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, very, very. I don't think I noticed it really until now looking at it, but I think I saw it before. Either way, they realize that Carmelita Spatz, who was the bully from Prufrock Prep back in Austere Academy, she's here
Yes.
with her uncle Bruce. Bruce is an asshole. We'll get to him later.
We'll get to Bruce.
I hate Bruce. Carmelita tells the kids to like leave because cake sniffers and her uncle, the scout troop, leads them in. The two kids decide to say that they're mountain travelers, and whatnot. Like, I don't think Carmelita knows. Like, I think they're covering their faces, if that's right.
Right.
So they end up using one of the Snow Kid masks to help cover their faces, if I recall correctly. But we end up having this like interaction where they're just trying to like hang out in the cave. They start talking. We find out that the Snow Scouts are there for the False Spring Queen because False Spring is about to happen at the peak of the Mortmain Mountains, in the center of the Valley of the Four Drafts. I wonder if that'll come up later.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. The Snow Scouts have the Snow Scout alphabet pledge, and it is a list of words that are all listed in alphabetical order with one word for every letter, and it is not possible. It doesn't make any sense to be all of those things at once.
They're like characteristics that the Scouts should embody.
Mm-hmm. Like,
and some of them are not characteristics.
They're absolutely ridiculous. I'll read through it once real quick, but Snow Scouts are accommodating, basic, calm, darling, emblematic, frisky, grinning, human, innocent, jumping, kept, limited, meek, nap-loving, official, pretty, quarantined, recent, scheduled, tidy, understandable, victorious, wholesome, xylophone, which is a good one, young, and zippered. Every morning, every afternoon, every night, and all day long.
Right. And we get that pledge a couple of times, and I fucking hated it every time.
It is just pain.
Mm-hmm.
I love Levity. He's fucking great, and I believe he did. Like, I know he did it on purpose of just this long list.
He's fucking with us on purpose.
Because I think I know why he did it. I think I know exactly why he did it, because you just will skip over it because it's the same thing over and over. It's for the message later on.
In chapter 5.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So other than that, there's nothing really interesting. They learn about like fall, spring, where the weather gets unusually warm.
Really interesting thing that you've skipped over.
Yes, I think I gotta get there. There's the major thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's at the end. So they talk about they celebrate it with a fancy dance, blah 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 blah. There ends up being this other kid there who's talking to them, and he decides to mention that lions used to live in these caves, and they weren't soldiers. The lions were detectives, volunteer feline detectives. VFD. And so the two orphans, the two Baudelaires, decide to keep saying anything with the like using VFD if they can. And the two of them, or like Violet and this other person, keep going back and forth with Klaus, saying a bunch of VFD things until it seems like, ooh, there's something there. There's some good soup. So ultimately, at the end of the night, because they want to go and talk to this kid, in the middle of the night, the kid walks over to them and says, "Come with me, Baudelaires. I know a shortcut to the headquarters." And just, they have no idea who the fuck this is.
Chapter 5. So the Baudelaires try to talk to this Snow Scout who seemingly knows what VFD is and that they're trying to get to the headquarters and who they are. But they can't because they're worried about one of the Snow Scouts or Bruce overhearing them. So he leads them to, what is it, the
Vertical Flame Division. Or Diversion.
Diversion. The Vertical Flame Diversion. And he says, this is basically a chimney, and it's like wafting all the smoke out. But we can climb up it. There's like little handholds and footholds. And we can climb up it, and that'll take us to the VFD headquarters. But we have to be very quiet because our voices will echo. And he's like, I know you have no reason to trust me, and that you've been betrayed at every possible turn by people who were supposed to protect you. But I just need you to trust me, all right? I will get you to BFD. And they're like, okay, I guess we have no choice. We will trust you. Let's go up this chimney very slowly, very silently. And then they start. And at the end of this chapter, Lemony is he's bitching basically. He's like, this is so horrible. You don't want to read this. Go ahead, skip to the next chapter. You won't want to read this. It's so sad. And then he sneaks in a letter to his sister at the end of this chapter, and it's like hidden in the book.
They repeat
So,
that they like, if you're reading it, like it feels like you suddenly are reading the same passage again. Like he repeats himself to where some people might just go, oh wait, what, and like skip past it is like the idea, I think.
Right.
But like if you just keep reading it and don't decide to think of anything of it, you do, it's hard not to see it, but like I think that was the intention. It's really cool. Like
Right.
forgetting that Lemony Snicket is a character in his own story.
Absolutely. And so then we get this letter to his sister where we get more about Lemony's character and kind of, or he mentions a recipe here that his sister told him, and then we will see later how that connects to the Baudelaires. It's good. It's sneaky.
Very fun. I just liked it. Like I think like the sentence too he's saying is like,
it's so unique for like an author to be a character in his own books and then like lie to the audience.
Oh, all the time.
And like sneak stuff in.
The more and more you like go back and like look through the books, like as we've had to like for like notes and stuff, you realize that like he's been saying it the whole time. Like all of this stuff's been hidden in plain sight, and that like, you know, that like you know, some stuff is just a coincidence, but it's a little weird how many coincidences there are.
Right.
Like you should never rule it out, but you also shouldn't be too much on it, I think. Yeah, overall, I mean, it's just about how like everything he does is like tough, I guess. Like it's just sad, and he just like he's like what he's learned and trying to figure that out. Which I don't know how he finds like a single stub of like something in the middle of the woods.
Right.
Because he's a simp.
Yeah.
You ever
That was
have?
about chapter 6.
Yeah, I was about. You ever have one woman be nice to you and you go, I will go to the ends of the earth for you? Because Lemony did. In a lot of ways.
Did.
So chapter 6 takes us to a very fun little chapter with Sunny, starting to explore a lot of her cooking. And by that, it's not fun that she's doing it, but Sunny is able to survive the night by sleeping in a pot dish. Like you would serve something in like
a casserole.
Yeah.
Like a casserole dish.
A casserole dish.
A hot dish, if you will.
A hot dish bish.
For our Midwestern viewers.
Hi,
Mom. Yeah.
I gotta say that Count Olaf yelling at Sunny to wake up, like as "wake up, you dentist nightmare," is a fucking mood, and that I will give him
funny.
a point for that.
No, let it never be said. Count Olaf is not funny because he's a riot.
It's so ridiculous. Like you can't take him seriously, but you should. So, basically, Sunny's doing a lot of like watching and investigating and starting to kind of do some like spying. Since whatever she babbles, they don't understand, and because they write her off that she doesn't understand anything, they don't really mind talking when she's there. Like Count Olaf doesn't, for the most part. But like, there's that little bit of fear. So she ends up like needing, like they tell her that she needs to cook, and like yells at him for like just because like you don't understand something doesn't mean that it's nonsense. Which Sunny's real for that. And they argue and deal with all that, trying to make sure, like, she goes into the car because she gets told to make them food, and they look and nothing is like even really usable. Stuff's like over refrigerated. There's frost. Think about, like, mushrooms, orange juice, like cheese, some jam and stuff. Like, she ends up being really creative and creating some really cool stuff to make, like, she can't make a hot meal. Like, she would need more
Right.
shit. We just can't do it. So the like we get a little bit of like a memory of like the mom Beatrice cooking something. So Sunny tries to remake that from like al fresco and just out of her, like, from her memory. And we get just to hear a lot of the troop bickering. In a lot of ways, like, it's hard because there's not like specific things to think of, but like we're hearing how Count Olaf's troop normally interacts, like, when no one else is around, which we haven't really seen since maybe Bad Beginning.
Hostile Hospital. Also, we got
Yeah.
a little bit of.
Yeah, that's right. We started with
We got like one scene.
but like they bicker every morning. There's definitely like they're all just doing it like for fun, and it does seem like they're trying to wrap up loose ends. Like, things are just about done. Esme is the worst. Everyone fucking sucks. And the big thing that she does is she does a really good presentation spread and puts in a lot of effort into stuff. Calling it like toast tartar, like where we get Colette asking, "Is it safe to eat raw toast?" Banger of a line. And
We never get an answer. No one knows.
No.
Is it safe to eat raw toast?
never. I don't know why you would. Oh, I was like trying to remember why, like, what the other part of this chapter is. So the main thing that happens is that we get approached by two of the most evil people we've ever met that put fear in Count Olaf and like cause him pause in his step. We meet the man with no hair but a beard, and the woman with no beard but hair.
Yes.
And that is the only way they are referred to. It is very much like Voldemort level energy, which is a mood. Here we actually get a lot of big lore dump from like there's an aura of menace with these people. We find out that the two of these people have already went and torched the entirety of the VFD headquarters. So it's all the smoke that you've been seeing in the gray and the stricken stream is from the ash of the headquarters burning. When like that's why the snow gnats haven't been around, because of all the smoke. So they went ahead and did that. There's a mention about the schism, so that's been brought up again. We know that it involves something maybe with like the sugar bowl in some capacity. There's multiple people want things for multiple reasons, but the schism, whatever divided VFD, is starting to get referenced, and it looks like you either started fires or put out fires, and that's where the divide happened. They end up saying that they're gonna head out because they need to go get something that was hidden in a figurine, so they gotta go burn down the carnival, but then they don't have to because Olaf already did. And they the big important thing is that the two of them found the Snicket file. They found all the pages except for the one that the kids have. Every chart, every map, and every photograph from the only file that could put us all in jail. And it's complete except for page 13. Of course, we understand that the Baudelaire's got it from the hospital. So they're worried that they're dead, and they kind of want to write it off. But then there's like, we could tell that as much as we thought that Count Olaf is like the big player, he's not. Like, everybody at the end of the day is gonna cut. Like, it's every man for himself is kind of the vibe. And with that, we head into chapter 7.
One more
yeah.
thing in chapter 6. Esme gets these like green cigarettes.
Yeah.
And they produce like a lot of smoke, and she's like, "Oh yeah, smoking's so cool," but she can't really like smoke them very well. And so Sunny has the bright idea of using the smoke to cook salmon, because the villains were very unhappy with her raw breakfast. So they were like, make something hot. So she's going to cook lox with the smoke, but she also knows that the smoke is so plentiful and vibrant that it'll get the attention of her brother and sister. And then we transition to chapter 7.
Oh, wow.
So Violet and Klaus and the other guy they get to the VFD headquarters. They find this very interesting looking lock device on the outside, which requires several different very long wordy answers to unlock it, which they manage to do. But then they find that the VFD headquarters has been burnt down. And this is very upsetting because they were supposed to find answers here.
Day late and a buck short.
Ain't that always the case? A little bit of unfortunate timing.
Well, quite the event we
Dare I
had.
say it.
I dare you. I
Right.
double dog dare you to say it.
I'm silly. They find it burnt down. They find the library where it says the world is quiet here. Fucks me up every time. That's like the VFD motto.
Do you know what
Very-
that means? Like what it's supposed to mean?
Spiritually, I know what it means. You know,
Like
I get it.
hey,
I get
it's a
it.
safe space kind of.
Right. But I don't if there's a concrete answer or a deeper meaning within the books, I couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the children are very upset to find it burnt down. They realize this is why. Again, they realize oh, okay, the stream is black because it's full of ash. The animals look sick because they've been choking on smoke. And they call out for their mom and dad, asking if either of them are here. And when their companion is like, what are you doing? They're like, well, we found this snicket file. One of our parents were supposed to be here. It's some survivor of a fire. And their masked friend goes, I think I know who the survivor is. It's me. I'm Quigley Quagmire. I've been looking for my brother and sister.
It's me the whole time.
It's me, Theo. It's insane, iconic, screaming, crying, throwing up,
Mm-hmm. Pissing, shitting.
wild
Yeah.
revelation.
It's a fucking mood. It's
insane.
I think I was right. I think I did guess that it was Quigley, but I was like, but isn't it Sean? I don't remember. I don't know if I guessed
You
it right.
didn't. You guessed, but you didn't know.
No.
There's a difference.
No, yeah. I fully
And I
will
wouldn't
admit
tell
that.
you.
I would fully admit, I was I'm pretty sure that it's Quigley because I know we meet them, but I don't know for certain. So I won't take the points for it. But yeah. And I think, is there anything more with chapter 7? Because I think chapter 8, they just lead into his explaining how he got there.
That's mostly the big things with chapter 7 is they find it burned down. The world's quiet here. Quigley Quagmire.
Mm-hmm. Quigley, the QQ. He's doing
Yeah.
great.
My boy Quigs.
Boy Quigs. So chapter 8 is a big fucking background chapter, so I'm gonna hit through it quick. We find out that Quigley survived the fire because his mom put him in the basement of their house, under a trapdoor she didn't know, which was very similar to the trapdoor that went from the Squallers or from Dark Avenue to the Baudelaire mansion. It was another one of those escape tunnels.
In Stats elevator.
Yes, yeah. From the, what is it? I forget what the building is. 667 Dark Avenue, because I don't think they named it. So he, and a very similar thing, when he waited, but everything was fire, he decided to go through the tunnel, which showed up at Uncle Monty's house shortly after the Baudelaires had already left. So he had found Stefano's stuff. He had done some research. All of the snakes and stuff were gone. So in a lot of, oh yeah? Yeah.
He found Jacques Snicket there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did find Jacques. Oh man. Shit, do you want to do this chapter?
No.
Okay, damn it. Oh, shit. I forgot about Jacques. So he meets up with Jacques there and actually learns a lot about VFD and taking notes in the reptile room. He had learned about the fire from the Daily Punctilio, and no one had really come looking for him. And this, the parents' estate was under the care of the city's 6th most important financial advisor, which is Esme. How funny.
Mhm.
Um, so his two siblings went to the prep school, and he was aware of that. But like, since he didn't know what to do, he just was doing his own thing for a bit to try to like eventually get to them, figure out what happened. Um, so Jacques Snicket had walked in, and he knew about the secret passageway and had known a lot about them and was well read. So they took a lot of time to read. Jacques Snicket just told him about the secret organization and everything, which fucking mood.
Which couldn't be literally anyone else in this series.
Off screen, we get to know that like he got all the answers. But like we learned that like Jacques wouldn't say exactly what VFD was, but it's assumed like volunteer fire department. And that like in some communities there's no official one, so they rely on others to extinguish fires, and that could be like metaphorical fires or real fires.
It means a lot of things.
I think that's kind of part of the whole thing. It's like I don't think I don't think we actually get an answer to it in the whole thing. Like it doesn't really matter. It's more of the concept that like.
And like especially in this book, we get so many things that are labeled VFD. So it's like the VFD means a lot of things.
It's their club.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's nice to get some answers.
Very nice. We learned that like Jacques sounds like like organizations in chaos because like everyone's using the same codes, everyone's using the same iconography. It's why Jacques Snicket also has a tattoo of an eye above his left ankle. And so does Count Olaf, because they were allies. That is the symbol of VFD, but since everyone's using it, it's just confusion and chaos. He didn't have a lot of time to explain. He does show a picture of the three Baudelaires at Lake Lachrymose on the dock, which is crazy that someone took a picture of them. And curious about what all that's about. He like quickly talks about how Jacques was too busy with like researching, and like even though he spent a lot of time, he couldn't explain everything. One day he went to go to Paltryville to interview someone and then stopped, which part of me wants to think that maybe Jacques, Kit, and Lemony are all investigating it. That would kind of start to make a little more sense. I didn't really put that together. He couldn't wait. He had found out that his siblings had been kidnapped from the school, and it looked like someone had torched the reptile room and burnt the house down. So he runs, and he went to Paltryville and found Dr. Orwell's office, and he had found out about like the fake nameplate. The office was deserted, and like he had seen some notes from Jacques there, and he had the verdant flammable devices, which were the like green smoke storms or smoke thing.
The cigarettes.
Yeah. He basically was just like, yeah, like I gotta go figure out VFD headquarters. I know where it is, so they'll be the best help. And on the way, he ran into the Snow Scouts and then just worked with them. And one thing that's really funny, like that I will point out, is that he turned a place in his commonplace book and examined his notes. Remarkable Phenomena of the Mortmain Mountains, which I read in Dr. Montgomery's library, had a hidden chapter that told me about the vertical flame diversion and the vernacularly fastened door. And Klaus mentions that he should have read that book when he had the chance. If he had known about VFD, he probably like could have avoided all the trouble. But they were
right.
I believe in Reptile Room, the Remarkable Phenomena of the Mortmain Mountains is actually mentioned as like one of the books that Klaus is like too bored to read and like isn't interested in.
Really?
Yeah, I'm almost certain.
That's sick.
Like I that's why I'm like I want to go grab Reptile Room and look for it. I might do that for like a second, because like I'm almost certain like that's what I'm saying, like Lemony does that shit. Like Klaus chose not to. Yeah, I do. I might. Let me finish the chapter first.
We can pause for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's do that. So,
finish the chapter, then we'll do our thing.
I'm so excited. Unfortunately, the Baudelaires have to give the news that Boy Jacques is dead, and it's not a good time. Finds out that the two siblings are up in the hot air balloon with Hector, and like hopefully they're good. Like they're pretty resourceful. Like the kids all kind of trust each other to like survive. And they know that Sunny's nearby. So like this is the big chapter where it's like, let's start communicating, seeing what everyone knows, as much as they
A
can.
ton of lore.
Ton of lore.
Ton of lore.
And there were no eagles in the skies over the Mortmain Mountains, but as they looked up, there was something in the sky that caught their attention because they look up and see smoke coming from up top, one of these, the top of this big like water, like frozen waterfall at the peak of Mount
From
Frot.
where... Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see what that's about.
Right now, pause. Okay.
Hello.
Have not found it in the reptile. But
Welcome
look.
to the Chapter 9 podcast.
Chapter 9, Chapter 9 podcast.
We read lots of books, only tell you what happens in Chapter 9.
If
Only read Chapter 9.
if that book don't got a Chapter
Anything
9,
before or
it better not be mine. I'll tell you that.
Okay. So they see the smoke coming from the top of the mountain, which we know is Sunny. They think it could be a VFD member. They go back and forth between signaling back to them. And I do think they light a verdant flammable device and they signal back. And Sunny sees it, and the people at the top of the mountain see it. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Sunny gives them their lox, which is, a way of cooking salmon.
Very delicious. Smoked.
And Olaf demands that she puts the smoke out at once. And he accuses her of being a spy.
Couldn't be me.
She's just a baby. And the white-faced women are a little bit like, Olaf, can you fucking chill? She's just a baby.
Like, some of these are being
You're
a little...
such a weirdo.
This is a little unreasonable, Mr. Olaf.
Yeah. But anyways, this is enough to put them off, to be, suspicious of Sunny. So now they don't really feel comfortable talking about the Snicket file, VFD, their plans in front of her. But they do mention the last safe place, which is where all the living VFD members will be gathering. Allegedly. Bless you.
Thank you.
So cut back to the people at the bottom of the mountain. Quigley is like, someone put out the verdant flammable device, and they're like, we don't know what that means. This isn't enough information to tell us anything really. So yeah.
It's actually a really, if I may, real quick. Is that okay?
Yes.
It's a really cool way of also in a very immediate sense explaining why VFD kind of collapsed too. Is that
right.
They're using that, we're going to respond with it, but you don't know if it's good or bad. That is Olaf's truth, but Sunny did light it,
Right.
And
I think it explains how bad the schism is too, where it's that is kind of a clusterfuck of everyone signaling the same way, having the same identifiers, using the same codes and stuff, but you don't know if they're on your side or not. So Violet and Quigley decide to go up to scale the waterfall, to go up and see what's at the top of the mountain. Klaus decides to stay at the bottom because there's something with the fridge.
The fridge is the only thing that hasn't burnt down.
The fridge is the only thing that hasn't been burnt, and they find I'm looking for the exact VFD phrasing of it.
I think it's the vernacular fridge device.
Vernacular fridge device?
I don't. A verbal fridge dialogue. They have to use it.
Verbal fridge dialogue. That's it.
Yeah.
So he finds basically
There's 8 VFDs with the fridge. I don't know.
There's secrets within the fridge. Klaus decides to stay and see if he can decode it. With what is left of the VFD library. So, Yeah, verbal fridge dialogue. You're right. Good job.
Thank you.
So he finds that there are like clues hidden within like the stuff that's in the fridge, like the olives, the dill, the very fresh dill.
Mm-hmm.
And so he stays down there while solving the fridge thing, while Violet and Quigley go up the mountain. And Violet says, "Thank you for volunteering to Quigley." Also fucks me up. Very.
I get chills just like thinking about it. It's that like just
VFD is.
they
Thank you for volunteering.
it's
These books are so good.
it's yeah, like shit, I'm trying not to cry. Like just thinking about it because there's a lot. Um I don't know, man. Like a lot of kids need to hear that. You know, like it's a really
Yeah.
it's that cool scene of like, hey, despite everything, you're still you kind of energy. You know, we didn't have Undertale when we were reading these. We had thank you for volunteering.
Thank you for volunteering. What a sweet way to thank somebody for helping you. What an impactful thing to say.
Yeah,
How dare Lemony Snicket put this in his book?
like thank you for
Knowing it was
choosing to
Hermione's
help
wish
us
for this
because you
way.
want to.
Thank you. Right. It's that thing where it's like, oh, fate brought us together, destiny brought us together. No, I chose to be here. I'm choosing to stay here.
Fate brought us together, but I'm choosing to stay and move forward with you. Like
and help, and it fucks me up. It's good.
it's that good fucking soup.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 9,
Tell me about
great.
chapter 10.
Chapter 10 sucks.
Tell me about chapter
It's
10.
bullshit because it's everything's downhill after the volunteering line. No, so
Right. How could you ever hope to pass? Thank you for volunteering.
never. You couldn't. So the Klaus decides to stay back and work on decoding whatever message is left in the fridge. Like there is a message because VFD's weird like that, so they gotta like he's gonna work on it because that's all he can do. Which is really cool that like he has something to do.
So great for Klaus.
This sounds kind of
That he found.
demeaning, but
I'm meaning it to be demeaning.
oh, okay, damn. Well, like it just like it works out really well that like that is something that really only he could do, and so like they're not wasting any time. Which is typically what happens is like only one of the kids gets to do something at a time, or there's an urgency, but like he doesn't really have urgency at the moment, so that pressure is there or is off. There's a really sweet sign where so Quigley and Violet are about to head out and walk across the pond, and she looks back at Klaus and like is like Klaus, and he goes, "Whatever you're thinking of saying, say it when you return," which is very similar to it was just him kind of repeating more or less like what they had in chapter 1. There was a conversation with like in the caravan if they were gonna die. Klaus almost said something, but chose like not to. So it was a really sweet like the kids are growing up. The kids grow up a lot, and like the payoff of the growing up is in this book, and in this chapter specifically. So they kind of do they use some stuff, some like different materials to start climbing up the frozen waterfall before the fall spring, before it all like freezes. And the Quigley and Violet talk about kind of like VFD, talk about their siblings, just kind of like are being friends. Like we learn that like Sunny loves raw carrots, they worry about each other. Like in a lot of ways they kind of seem to be in a similar state of like, I don't want to say like the oldest because the three of them are triplets, but like the other two, Isabel? Isadora and Duncan don't know that Quigley's alive. So like this is in a way like Violet has somebody who like is as close to her in terms of experience. Like it's about as much empathy as you can get, which is wonderful. Since there's a lot, they're both been fucked over by all that stuff. We'll see it right here. You guys can see up above in the summary, but we get this really sweet panel where they decide to take a break halfway up and have a conversation. And in the boldest fuck you I've ever seen in these book series, Lemony Snicket decides not to share what they talked about because even in those even Violet deserves a single moment of privacy.
Right.
Or something like that.
And it's made a distinction between like the stuff that he does not know, where he's like, I've looked, couldn't figure it out, who knows what happened. And he's like, I know what happened, but I'm not going to tell you because it feels wrong to publicize this private moment between two very unlucky children who deserve a moment of happiness that they get to keep to themselves.
No one gets to use it against them, sort of thing. Which is real cool. So they end up finally climbing all the way to the top after their little hangout, and Violet sees Sunny and whatnot kind of like hiding behind the car and stuff. They kind of like stealthily peek up the mountain, what have you. Sunny's super excited to see them, know that Klaus is and whatnot is safe, figure out that like she signaled them and that she's been doing the cooking and the vacuuming out of the crumbs out of the car. Count Olaf goes, "Where are you, baby lair?" And like that's another good banger. That's a zinger.
Mm-hmm. I bet he stays up at night thinking of those.
He's got nothing else to do. He should.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
not showering.
Thinking about he just has thoughts. They're not shower thoughts.
Right.
So you have to. So they end up hiding under the car, and they like listen to Count Olaf and them talking about like False Spring and like how like they're just yelling at Sunny, and Sunny's just like pretending like the two or like two kids aren't underneath the car. There's only a couple of employees left. There's the hook-handed man, 2 white-faced women, and the 3 freaks from the carnival. 8 people if you include yourselves to spread out the net. Oh yeah, because they're talking about some sort of recruitment plan as well. The 2 evil people, and like we're not really sure what the hell they're talking about, and they won't talk about anything in front of the baby. They're working on a message. They basically are like, hey, this is what we're doing. And Sunny decides to stay. She figures out what she's going to make and decides to stay here, like stay with Count Olaf's troop. And like Violet's like, but no, you got to come with us. We shouldn't be separated. Sunny's like, okay, but Klaus is separated right now. So like you can trust me. Gaga Goo Goo, which is like, I won't be caught because they think I'm only a helpless baby, which like, serve. That was the sassiest thing she said. The baby, Sunny.
Yeah.
They know that they're going to be looking for stuff and they got to figure it out. And we get hit with the rawest, hardest line of the fucking series, where Sunny dropped her vegetables on the ground and walked over to her sister. Because Violet's like, I'm not going to leave my baby sister here. And Sunny says, I'm not a baby. And hugs her, which is the longest sentence she's ever said. And she's kind of gone from like a baby to like a young girl. Like, right. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. Yeah, like a toddler. Enough to kind of talk, whatever.
She can walk and say certain words.
She can cook, apparently. And she can win a sword fight with her teeth.
Can sword fight.
It doesn't fucking... This kid isn't real.
What age did you learn to sword fight?
I didn't. I tried to teach myself.
You forgot?
No, I just never like
got
formal training. No, but like I would practice. Damn. I didn't have a sword as a kid, so I had my stepbrother's wooden one that we'd play with. But then like if I hit him with it, like if we wanted to hit each other, like he'd want to hit me in the head, and like yeah.
We had foam Nerf swords. And those were great, except our dog would chew on them and reveal like the PVC kind of like core, and that would really fucking hurt. Oh yeah. If you got hit with that.
Smack that shit. I'll clock you real good.
Yeah.
So they ultimately end up leaving, and they decide to climb back down the mountain because at the very least they did get more information. And Sunny says happy because she is happy at the end. that like everyone knows kind of they're not sure exactly what they're doing, but everyone knows that they're just doing what they can. And that leads
Yeah,
us to
it's
chapter
enough
11.
to know
Hmm.
that Sunny is safe, and it's enough for Sunny to know that her two siblings are safe, and to meet Quigley. So, chapter 11, Quigley and Violet they climb back down the waterfall. They get to Klaus. Klaus is like, "What happened?" Violet kind of explains, like, Sunny is there. We didn't bring her back down because she's kind of doing her own thing, and we have to trust her. And that's like kind of a big moment for both of them to have to like not rely or not they have to rely on her and not have to like instinctively protect her as her two older siblings.
Mhm.
And so they talk about that. Klaus talks about what he uncovered in the fridge, the verbal fridge dialogue. He says it led him to a book, and it was the only book in the library that wasn't burnt, and he's like, it's a little suspicious, but like we don't have anything, we don't know what to do with that information. And so the message he gets from the verbal fridge dialogue is that no life lives forever, that dead men rise up never, that even the weariest river winds somewhere safe to sea. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck that means. But we, the audience, kind of get the hint that the sugar bowl was chucked out of the window when the fire started and was sent down the flowing stricken stream. And so we're like, stricken has something to do with stricken stream. Don't know. So we don't really know yet. And then they talk about how they're gonna get Sunny back, and they decide that they have to like trade her for something that Count Olaf loves, and so they form a plan to try and kidnap Esme Squalor, where they're going to lure her down with the green cigarettes and trap her in a hole. And they're like, I don't really know about this. This feels villainous. This feels like something Count Olaf would do, kidnapping. But they decide that it's the only way to save their sister. And so they stay up all night digging a hole to trap Esme Squalor in.
Which is such a fucking mood. The whole like like
Kidnapping women?
a little bit, yeah.
Kidnapping women is a mood?
100%. Well, more of like this internal struggle that the kids have been having for the last couple books that really comes to a head in this one of like we're doing we're doing things that Count Olaf would do but with good intent, and it's where the kids start to realize that there's a lot of gray area in the world and that there's a lot of like you have to kind of have some cognitive dissonance. You can have two beliefs that counteract each other at the same time, like conflicting ideas.
I don't know. I kind of disagree.
Yeah.
I think the conflict is more like we're doing these things to survive, but that makes us villains, and I don't want to live as a villain, so we have to find new and creative solutions to our problems and not just take the easy route out like Olaf. And like, while I agree that they do villainous things and like have to learn to like live with that, like they set fire to the carnival, I think this point in the book is really like, or in like the next chapter, it's really like, no, we need to no, I'm not going to do villainous actions because I'm a good person and my actions define what kind of person I am, so I'm not going to do villainous actions.
But yeah, well, it's so like I agree. It was more about like how they were like when they were shouting questions in the crowd in VFD, like that wasn't like a bad thing to do. They knew how to, like the crowd was going to kill them and like they were innocent. So it's like that was like the first thing where that was very clear cut and dry. And with the Esme in the whole plan, like this is where it's like, okay, yeah, this does feel pretty like there's not a good defense for this. And they start to kind of discuss that, I think, in the night. Because like, am I good to go into chapter 12?
You're good to go into chapter 12.
All right. So chapter 12, we get really cool, pretty dress that Esme wears. Girl on Fire. I hate her, but she is fashionable, I guess.
She slays.
Big slay. We end up like we start with Sunny, who is just kind of like, chill, like, or she's like, it's very cold. She doesn't really sleep well. She's frustrated. Um, you know, she had tried to just like she's just trying to like pay attention and listen to people and think about how everything's going on and just doing her best. She thinks of a plan involving an aubergine, like an eggplant, which is a big mood. And the today, like, Count Olaf and Esme are in completely different clothes. Count Olaf is in has washed his face, a brand new suit, and it looks like it has a bunch of tiny polka dots, but each one is a small eye that matches the tattoo and the VFD insignia, which fresh, that seems fire. And Esme was like looking, it was apparently so just terrible, but it's like all the fierce, like a bunch of flames. She's like literally the like idea of a fire. We learned that they're planning on going to Hotel how do you say it?
Yeah, let me look at it.
Denouement.
Don't spell at me.
No, I know. That was for everybody because I don't know, like, denouement, but that's not it. Denouement. Denaui.
I feel.
Denouement. Maybe. Either way,
Denouement.
there's a hotel. We'll figure out how to pronounce it. It's a nightmare of a word. Because I don't know how it's pronounced. Denouement or whatever.
Denoma?
Whatever. There's a hotel which is like where everyone's supposed to be going to. Apparently, that's the idea.
A last safe place.
The last safe place. So they're gonna go and burn it down because then the war's over, so to speak. Oh, bless you. You got me yawning.
I didn't sneeze.
I know, but I yawned. Yeah. So the kids end up downstairs or down at the base, like the three of them at the VFD headquarters light one of the cigarettes, or the verdant flame devices, and Esme is like, I'm gonna go get it, and Esme's like, I'm gonna go get it. Count Olaf's like, what about Sunny? I'll make the baby do it. And Esme's like, the baby's probably gonna smoke them all and steal them, so no, I'm gonna go. Which, if you know how to deal with a narcissist and know what they do, it's actually really easy to fuck with them in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like, you can, like, people like this, their downfall is that their behavior is so predictable. Like, they're always going to choose the worst option. So Sunny does a whole thing of saying like, oh man, like I was gonna take one of the toboggans and sled down the waterfall, but that's what Esme's gonna do. So shit, stole my plan. Whatever. Esme quite literally decides to just go down. Like, this is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't know why she chose to do this. She's just that. It's just what they care. So they wait for her to come back down, and they're sitting there thinking about, like, kind of watching her come down the mountain and stuff without the snow gnats and stuff, and they just keep thinking about the world is quiet here, and nobody said them to me. Somebody sang them, like one of their parents did. And they have this really good revelation as they thought of the darkness of the pit and the scream as they would make as she fell into it because they dug a pit. I know we agreed, but if VFD really stands for Volunteer Fire Department, then they're an organization that stops fire. If everyone fought fire with fire, the entire world would go up in smoke. Which I think is a really good, poignant point, because at some point you got to break the cycle. Like, you gotta, like, there's always, it's not that there's isn't always, like, there's always another way. It doesn't mean it's always going to be successful, but there is always another way.
Right.
You just can't see it. So if the motto is if the world is quiet here, we ought to be doing something less noisy and violent than trapping someone, no matter how wicked they are. So, looking into the abyss looks at you, which is like some real good deep shit to put that into this.
There's a lot of that in this book.
Mm-hmm.
This book specifically.
But those are important things to remember too. Those are good little life lessons. So they, Esme comes down and walks this archway and stuff, and they yell at her to stop and that it's a trap. She says it's a volunteer, since, like, they're still wearing the snow masks because they can still hide themselves. And they just like argue with her. They're not cigarettes. There's a deep pit. They tell her about it. They admit that they wanted to trap her, and that Esme just calls them like weak for not even having the courage to go through with their plan. Like, you're never brave enough
It's
to do
very
something.
funny.
Like villainous treachery. What is it? You volunteers are never brave enough to do something for the greater good. And Quigley goes, throwing people into pits isn't the greater good. It's villainous treachery. And Esme goes, if you weren't such an idiot, you'd realize that those things are more or less the same. Which is real as fuck, because Esme is correct. Like, it is for the greater good, her greater good. Like, people think differently than you, and people have different intents and objectives from you, and like that's something that like I myself had to learn more recently. But like these books also, like the kids are learning that like intent matters, impact matters, and that like when you try to just always be good, like it can be limiting. So it's like, in a way, is that not what they're doing? You could just semantics, but it makes a difference. Other than that, they just shit talk Esme the whole time because Esme thinks that she's talking to volunteers, and
Right, which she is, but
Mhm.
she doesn't know it's the Baudelaires.
Oof. And so like they say that they like she looks like, I suppose that how you can go there, and so she doesn't realize that like she took the toboggan down because it was fast and has no idea how to get the fuck back up. Like she feels really dumb, and it's kind of silly. And they ultimately decide to I think they like drag her up the mountain. The two of them.
Yeah, in the toboggan.
Yeah, in the toboggan. And we thought you'd get here by taking the path, not climbing the waterfall. And turns out that everybody's now here at the top. And they talk about how they're lying. Like, we built a trap to capture your girlfriend. We didn't want to become a monster like you. And Esme's like, they're liars. I found them hugging cigarettes, so I captured them and made them drag me up the waterfall like sled dogs. Like, very silly, very fun. And ultimately, there's the final, like, as we get into like the big climax of this, is like everyone's starting to be at the top of the Mortmain Mountain at this peak, and Violet finally faces Count Olaf and is like, you will give us Sunny because we know where the sugar bowl is. And it's just this like tension moment as we lead into chapter 13.
Right. So so chapter 13, everyone's in chaos. Everyone wants the fucking sugar bowl. And he threatens to throw Sunny off the cliff if you don't give him the sugar bowl. And so Esme and Olaf go back and forth on which is more important, having the Baudelaire fortune and keeping Sunny alive, or getting the sugar bowl. And eventually Olaf just throws the casserole dish off of the top of the mountain, only to reveal Sunny's not in there. It's the eggplant.
The aubergine!
The aubergine. And so, yeah. Then it's revealed that the volunteers are actually Violet, Klaus, and Quigley to Count Olaf. He's like, you guys are supposed to be dead. They're like, we aren't.
Okay.
So
don't know what to sorry, shrugs for existence.
Okay. Sorry. The Snow Scouts arrive. They're captured by the Eagles, the VFD Eagles. They drop nets on them.
They
And yeah. Do you have something to say?
It's the most insane batshit fucking plan I've ever heard of.
Saying the sentence out loud, they're captured by the Eagles. The VFD Eagles, insane.
They just trained eagles to just lay a net down and just scoop people up.
The recruitment plan is all these Snow Scouts are captured in a net, and I think it's the man with a beard but no hair and the woman with hair but no beard. They go, you'll either join us or you'll die. which is,
It's a good
very
recruit.
compelling.
It's a very good recruitment strategy.
It would have worked on me. And so Klaus and Violet were like, no, Snow Scouts, don't listen to them. And Carmelita's like, no, they're on to something.
Let them
We
go.
should let them go. Let's hear them out. We learned that Bruce, Carmelita's uncle, is the guy from Reptile Room who sold all of Uncle Monty's reptiles. And Count Olaf's like, you fucking idiot! I tricked you into giving me all those reptiles. I'm tricking you now. L plus ratio.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you.
Uninstall.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delete your account. So yeah, they kind of convince Carmelita to join them. The rest of the Snow Scouts don't seem all that interested. Yeah, and so then Klaus, Violet, Sunny, Quigley so fall spring has started. So it's very warm, and the ice on the waterfall starts to crack and turn into just water and not ice. So all of our orphan friends, they get on a toboggan and they ride. Yeah. Is this what happens?
Yeah,
Hold on.
Well, I think the fall spring starts. So
fall spring starts.
The waterfall
That's
melts.
Why the Snow Scouts are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't take notes in an appropriate way for this chapter format. So everyone
this
who's
was sprung on me.
Everyone who's watching this, you are one of a few select group of people that are with us to help us get past the slippery slope. This is a trial by fire.
Defeat this beast in battle. So yeah, they spend a lot of time just talking to Carmelita.
Yeah.
Because she's a bitch. I don't know if I'm allowed to call a 12-year-old a bitch.
You can.
But...
Well, she's acting like a bitch. I would prefer to use a stronger word, but I can't because she's 12.
Right. So yeah, basically the orphans get on toboggan, they go down the waterfall, which has started, which is turned back into water and melted as fall spring has started. And they start down the stricken stream, and so Sunny relates the information that the last safe place is Hotel, however you pronounce that, Hotel D.
Yeah. Hotel D's nuts.
Hotel D's nuts. That's the one. And so they're down the stricken stream, and then the toboggan hits a rock or something, and Quigley who's on the back of the toboggan is flung off of it. He's in the water, and they see that he's alive and not gonna drown, but they can't turn back. They don't have any oars or anything.
Yeah, and because everything false melted, the heat came up, it's all rushing and gushing. So
right,
it's this
is whitewater rafting. So they can't go back and get him. They so they know he's alive, but they can't go back to get him, and they are now headed off to wherever the stream will take them. And we are reminded of the last line of the poem that even the weariest river winds somewhere safe to sea. And so we, the audience, know that they're headed to the same place where the Sugar Bowl is headed. The Baudelaires don't know where the fuck they're going.
I do believe, if I recall correctly, Count Olaf mentions that because of where they got split, Quigley's going to the opposite tribute it's the different water reservoir that this leads to.
Yeah.
So the quote unquote I believe he's headed towards where the hotel would be, whereas the kids are getting sent out to sea. A little mild spoiler for Grim Grotto, but it's quite literally like Grim Grotto is book 11. Book 12 is The Penultimate Peril. Great name.
Which happens at the hotel.
It is also the only one I don't think I read. I think that's the only book I haven't read.
I have no memory of that one at
so
all, so that'll be fun.
So excited. Like, Grim Grotto is like, it fucks. It's a good time. There's a lot of interesting stuff, and yeah, like so they're gonna be separate. So the next book is gonna be about how they can like get back around and deal with that shit in a way that I don't know if people are gonna be ready.
Also, I completely forgot. The white-faced women, they kind of just fuck off and leave. They're like, we're not going to be a part of this anymore.
Oh, yeah. They quit.
Yeah, they quit. So this is, again, keeping up with the trend of Count Olaf losing assistants every book. So now it's just the Hook-Handed Man and Esme, really.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Of our core, the main...
Of the troop, because plus like Kevin and Colette and Hugo. I don't remember exactly what ends up going on with them, where they decide to end up.
I don't remember either.
So that'll be fun to see. But I do know that I'm remembering bits and pieces of the end, and like it's just like ooh, to me it's all a blur because like I don't remember any of the details. So.
Yeah, I remember exactly one thing from the end, and that's it.
So, is it the end?
Yeah.
Work. Hell yeah. Well, now that we've done the summary,
now that we've summarized,
we'll go over our notes. Okay. Hey, you two, knock it off. I'm gonna let them in if you want to start going through the notes.
So. At the beginning of these book, at the beginning of this book, we were reminded that Violet is still 14, and it's like, I very clearly remember her being 18 at the end of these books, which cannot be true. Like, I thought she turned 18 in the end, and that cannot be the case. Because, so I don't remember this one quote, Olaf, like any good businessman, had committed a wide variety of crime.
Mood.
Very funny. As I said, fuck the Snow Scout Pledge. We hear it like 4 times, and I hate it every time.
You just repeat it. They don't like. It's that whole thing of like, well, this is what we do. It's like, well, what are you gonna do then on top of that? It's like, as long as we're this, it's okay. It's so fucking stupid.
I hate it. I didn't realize this was a sad occasion. Quigley says this to kind of signal to the Baudelaires that he's a member of VFD. They don't get it at all, but I got it.
And it's the same fucking quote that the server in the restaurant in Wide Window asked them. The sad clown, which is so cool. Like I only because of the wiki.
And then as we mentioned, Toast Tartar. Very funny.
Very good. Just a mood, a vibe. We kind of did all the discussion already. We talked about the letter to the sister being a really cool effect and repeating all of that. Everything in this is VFD. We did all of the slides not congruent to how we chose to record it. So little there. Thank you for volunteering.
Bear with us.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful line. So great.
It's not stated explicitly what Violet and Quigley do at like the midpoint of their journey, but it's like hinted at being kind of romantic because like Violet blushes when she like talks about it, and it's like seen as a private moment, and I'm not here for it.
I don't think they.
I do not think they should be in a romantic relationship.
I in my opinion, like I was like, I don't think it's like, oh, like did they kiss or whatever? Like no, but I think that like, you know what? I really could see that like they held hands because there's just like that like in a like just genuine comforting way. Like it doesn't need to be anything more than just a fellow person who like someone who knows what you're going through, you know, and like can relate. And the fucking sugar bowl, baby.
Sugar bowl. Flipping tables, screaming, calling my neighbors about the fucking sugar bowl.
So we learned that in the we didn't really go into like what Klaus figured out because like it's all kind of like a knot. It doesn't it just helps understand some things but not really anything. But like it's been mentioned that like it's not so much that like it's really unsure of whether or not the schism was over the sugar bowl or over what was inside of the sugar bowl, but the sugar bowl is a lot like Gunther, where it's involved, it's there, it's part of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's just it's there. And what I find really funny is I think that there's multiple things, like both of those things are true at the same time. Because for Esme, it does seem like Beatrice stole her fucking sugar bowl and or like used
Right.
it and she's fucking pissed and wants the
And she
actual back.
wants her fucking sugar bowl back so she can have a complete goddamn tea set.
And
And
that's a fucking
everyone else
mood.
is kind of is into the sugar bowl for like what it has inside of it.
I wonder if people had thought that the 13th page of the Snicket file was originally in there
Maybe.
at some point.
Who's to say?
I don't know.
Who knows? Fucking Snicket won't tell us.
That's because he didn't want to know.
Lemony.
He doesn't have to. Asshole.
Well, he's like, well, the Baudelaires don't know, so you don't get to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm an adult now, and now I want to know.
Yep.
Fucker. Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out a little bit more. This like Grim Grotto. We start to learn a little bit more about the schism. But for the orphan rankings, we had figured them out last time. But do you want to go through your reasons?
Sure. Again, Klaus is in my bottom. He's number 4. Klaus is a great guy. He's not doing the kind of flashy, impressive stuff and the kind of character growth that we see from the others. So he's my number 4. So sorry. Do better next time. As if it's my fault. Sorry. It's my fault. Number 3 is Violet. Violet is, always impressive. For me, what's really important here is that Violet's the one who says, we are not kidnapping Esme. We are not, she like draws that line in the sand, and I think that's a really important character moment for everyone, and Violet's the one who gets to have it. Very great. Sunny had her iconic moment of I'm not a baby. She's grown up so much. That's so important. Love that for her. And number 1 is Quigley Quagmire, who just from the page he's introduced is doing his damnedest to help these kids. Or I guess they're not kids to him, they're peers, but like to help these people and to like, and he's just so down for anything. He's like, we're gonna make makeshift snowshoes and climb up the side of a waterfall. Okay, great. I'm happy to help. Quigley's my number 1.
Man, when you put it like that, Quigley kind of is big number 1 energy.
You can change your list if I've convinced you.
You haven't, but like the line
That's
between Sunny and Quigley has shrunk by a lot.
Days.
Yeah, like Quigley, like the big thing that I appreciate, oddly enough, I appreciate this more now than when we recorded it the first time, because I've been a little busy offline, and
You've been up to stuff.
yeah, like to have somebody where like you talk to and like you don't have to go through and explain everything, because like they actually are pretty up to date on the situation. Like it's more of just like comparing, like, oh, this is what I know, that like filling in, like they don't have to like do all the convincing to get them on his side. He just from the get-go is like, I'm right there with you. Okay, yeah, you're telling me I trust you, let's go. Like there's that level of just like it almost is unnerving at first, because it's not like their kids don't expect to have that much help. And I think that's what causes a lot of pause. Like Quigley is really one of like the best pieces of the puzzle of this story. Like he just
absolutely
starts putting everything together.
Absolutely.
I think that Klaus does a really, really good job. It's just not flashy. Especially compared to like especially as we've gotten into these later books, like when we say 4th, like it's not like we're giving them a score, we just have to, it's in comparison to each other, but everyone did really well this book. Klaus is just like it's necessary, it's needed. What Klaus does, it's just not that fun.
Klaus has had better moments too, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there have been books where Klaus has done better. than he did here.
Yeah. Although I will say that it does feel like this is Sonny and Quigley's book. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
it's so like Klaus didn't need to be more important than he has been. Because he's a dumb boy. So Violet, be a little there. Violet does great, very creative, but also like has idea than like, you know, Waffles, but is the voice of reason, is an adult, and ultimately also has to learn to like trust her siblings, to like let go. Like Sonny kind of inadvertently calling out the hypocrisy of like, okay, but Klaus is separated and I'm apparently not. Like, humble yourself, Violet. Big mood. Quigley, he's great, but Sonny, the Sonny chapters and the POVs from Sonny does not really have a whole lot like happening. It's a lot of her listening, but it really showcases her own intelligence and her own like, you know, these kids are clearly gifted, and like if you were to try to picture them in the real world, like clearly like savants in a lot of way, and it's really cool to see. But the I'm not a baby statement is so huge, especially after I think what was it, the end of Vile Village into the hospital where she chooses to walk.
Right.
I think that was at the end of that one.
I think you're right.
Like Sonny has had some massive moments of
She's
growth,
grown up so much.
and it's just like she held her own that whole time, like as an infant, like, or as a like a, you know, as a young child. And I think that, like, you know, it may be 20 years later, but she deserves the call out, so that's why she's my number one. Yeah. So with that, oh, I think that's it.
We've ended.
That's the end of the
That's it, yeah.
slides. Yeah.
Yeah. We always end with the orphan ranking.
Not me forgetting. Trying to remember which one is. There we go. Oh, but yeah. So overall, fun book. I had read it entirely in one sitting, waiting for an oil change for 4 hours, like a month and a half ago. But now we've done it. So
we've taken care of slippery slope.
yeah. Do you have?
How does it feel to have that weight off your shoulders?
We're almost done. We gotta hit stop record, and then we're just gonna go ahead and immediately upload it and be done with it, so that like we can be free.
Okay.
We also have a lot of really good ideas, and I get really excited, but like we gotta like fit it. Like I have to make sure that like I stay on track to finish it, and so I'm very appreciative. So thank you, Kale, for being patient with me, taking some time to be able to like deal with some other shit, and then, you know, be a lot more ready, because like I'm so excited to start taking notes on Grim Grotto, because like we're gonna do them in a different way. Like that's so exciting to me, instead of just thinking, is this a good enough note, is this a good enough thing to say? It's really fun. So much like watching water, I don't know how to end it. I'm not good at this one.
You can just say goodbye. You could just say, we'll see you next time. See you for Grim Grotto.
See you for Grim Grotto. Bye.